take your leave. Deputy leader will be here if there's a need for any follow-up. I think she has what it takes to respond to. First, on the issue of Galamsey. Sir, I agree with the sentiment you expressed. And I think what I said on the House floor echoes my own position on this Galamsey. Somewhere 2015, I will call it our ancestral cocoa farm in the Asin Fosu area. My cousins approached me that they needed money to buy the machine, what do you call it? Excavator. And I told them, why? This is a farm that great-grandfather, all of you, you go there, farm, make money. We know, since we were kids, that we have a cocoa farm there. Why? He said, oh, Obia richenu cocoa egufom, gold na abano, oman kofu nyeska. I'm just quoting them. I felt very sad. Not too long after that, Honorable Setekwe, at a finance committee hearing, lamented how Galamsey was affecting cocoa production. But proud to that, we know of the Anas Arimayel expose in 2010. I think that we must be collective. We, the political parties, must be collective and see that Galamsey as a common enemy. Because you see, when President Akufo-Addo boldly announced to the Ghanaian public that, look, I am even putting my presidency on the line, he meant well. But it is not President Akufo-Addo who would go into the forest in person. He has to implement that policy, that pledge, through people. And that is where we had challenges. I again recall that some constituents in the early days of the Galamsey fight had come to me that, oh, it looks like their friends are calling them to go back. Because these were fishermen who had been recruited to work on people's land, sites. And because of the fight, they had come home to do their fishing. And they had been called to go back. What was it? What they told me, oh, the soldiers allowed them to do it in the night, and they take some money from them. So their guys were calling them that, oh, there's still business, so come back and do it. The point I want to make here is that because of the partisan approach to it, these people who are involved in the business get protection. Because look at it. In 2020 elections, MPP lost all the mining areas. And there are videos where our friends in the NDC were there in these constituencies telling them that, oh, they are sacking you, they are denying you of your bread. So when we come, we'll find a way of giving you cover or protection. There are videos, credible videos. So in the end, it became a partisan thing. But when those water bodies are polluted, like recently the Ayensu situation, the Ayensu River was so much polluted, those who drink are not covered by partisan colors. They are Ghanaians. The food we buy in Accra, the cassava, the vegetables, all of us are at risk. So for me, I will concede that political leaders could have handled this better if the enthusiasm, the momentum that civil society, then led by my good friend and senior brother from Chame, Ken Ashigbe, you know, what they started with City FM way back. If the political parties had given it the needed support, I'm sure would have gotten somewhere. So, unto my friends, I give them my word as a leader of the minority in Parliament. I'm ready to support them if they themselves are more than ready to confront the issue head-on. So far, because they seem to be benefiting from this gold board is buying gold, these same Galamseyers are selling to the gold board. Is there any mechanism to determine which gold is coming from the right source? And because the money is coming for them to stabilize the economy, stabilize the city, they are pretending, that they don't know the sources of much of the gold that they are getting. But if we are ready, they are ready, because they have the government now. They have the authority of states. If they are ready, trust me, outside in Parliament, I would lead my colleagues to support government. The water we drink come from upstream, all the way from the eastern region. Ayensu, we know where Ayensu flows from, all the way and ends in Winneba. So that's one thing. On the second issue of whether or not Parliament is broke, I'm sorry. As for that, I'm unable to answer. I will rely on the public statement that was issued by Mr. Speaker to explain why Parliament could not reconvene. He said, quote, circumstances beyond my control, end quote. So I don't have any other answer. Leader of government business is here. If he has some other information, he may share. But I would want to rely on what Mr. Speaker himself put out as a reason for not being able to get Parliament to reconvene. As to being broke and all that, they are your words. I don't know about it. So, colleagues, thank you for indulging me. Leader, I don't out of disrespect. Bear with me. I have a pre-arranged meeting. I need to leave. I leave you with two able. Your own mother is here. Don't bully her. Don't bully your mother. Don't bully your mother. And then your junior brother Jerry is here. Or you will leave for the two deputies. Yes, I think so. Or what do you think? Let's vote on this. The two leaders can leave. Then the deputies can. The monkeys play by sizes. I'm not too comfortable leaving my mother in your hands. So let's go.
He answered the questions that were posed to him, so let me just answer the ones that were posed to me as well, after which I can also leave. And our deputies may continue. Okay, so let's start with the last item, which is the fight against Galamsey. Truth of the matter is, I have been listening to the discussions, and I know it is something that we are all very passionate about. Whenever there's any threat to life, our reaction is generally different, and it can get very emotional. And in the midst of the emotions, facts get lost, okay? So, first thing is, the president and the government have clearly indicated a commitment to fight Galamsey. What have we done government has indicated all the steps that have been taken. You know, we've always been involved in small-scale mining activities. And we've always lived with small-scale mining activities. I recall when I was a law student, I was a research assistant to, a teaching assistant, actually, of Fui Chikata, who was lecturing natural resources law. And he recruited me to do research, field research on small-scale mining practices and activities, because at that time, he was trying to propose legislation to govern small-scale mining activities. We're talking about 26, 27 years ago. And I did go around the country with a geologist, 27 years ago, with a geologist from Geoman Consult. I don't know if any of you knows Geoman Consult. And we went from community to community where small-scale mining activities, which is what Galamsey is, small-scale mining activities, unless the person engaged in the activity has a license. If you don't have a license, it is Galamsey. If you have a license, it is called small-scale mining. And it is in degrees. You have artisanal mining, which is what a lot of our young boys are engaged in, where they go and they just feel that there's gold here, and they start digging with pickaxes, with shovels, with headpans, and then they are carrying it to locations where they do the washing. That one is called artisanal mining. And it's been happening for years, in fact, for centuries. That's how mining was done until the Europeans came with large-scale mining activity where they introduced excavators and mechanized mining. Otherwise, we're doing artisanal. And the artisanal has persisted up to date. What was Ghana's problem? Ghana's problem started when people discovered that they could bring Chinese to come and join them, and the Chinese could afford machines, and they will work with the Ghanaians so that what I could use my pickaxe to dig for a month, the Chinese would dig out with their excavators in 2 days. So the level of exploitation accelerated through the utilization of machines. So the movement from artisanal hand digging by our young people who are unemployed and think that if they dig and get something, they can also sustain themselves. The movement from there to the use of excavators and dozers is what really became our problem. That was the real issue, because the scale just got huge within a very short period of time. So this government took a decision that we have to deal with that part of the problem. Hence the decision that we will seize every equipment that we find to stop that rapid, deterioration that is happening. And as at July, when the media briefing of the Minister for Mines occurred on the 23rd of July, he indicated that we had seized 177 excavators. 177 excavators, 4 bulldozers, 12 vehicles, 43 motorcycles, 155 pumping machines, 184 changfangs, 15 detector machines, 10 heavy-duty generators, and arrested over 1,345 people. Now, for those who are interested in the fight against Galamsey, when government says this, what I expect is to go out and confirm if this number of seizures did occur. Because if you're actually able to seize 177 excavators and stop them from working, do the calculation from the date of the seizure up to date. If those 177 excavators were actually on the ground excavating on a daily basis, calculate the level of damage that those excavators would have done to our Earth's surface. Then the volume of ore that they would have excavated and how much washing would have taken place, and etc. I expect that to happen. The second thing government decided to do was to block all importation of excavators. Arrest excavators in the field, block importation of excavators. So government has announced that we have hundreds of excavators parked at the port because we won't allow you to clear them. Before you clear, you have to come and establish that government has given you a contract and you are going to use the equipment to go and perform the contract. So the whole scrutiny of what you are going to use the excavators for has deterred many people from importing excavators. So I expect you to go to the port to find out, indeed, have they blocked excavators from coming into the country? The hundreds that government say we have blocked, are they actually there? Secondly, government says we are going to introduce surveillance of the movement of excavators everywhere in the country. So trackers will be installed in every excavator and every earth-moving equipment. So we can geo-monitor every earth-moving equipment to see where an excavator has moved and what it is doing there. Let me tell you, from my experience, I was Minister for Environment, and my job was really to deal with this issue. From my experience, the greatest thing that you can do is to take the excavators out of the system, to take the dozers out of the system, to take the shamfangs out of the system. Because you would have reduced the problem from 100 to like 20. The 20 is the young people who are now there with their pickaxes and shovels and they are digging. The rate at which they are going to do it is usually very, very slow because human energy has its limitations. And the numbers can't just increase astronomically. So there has been a major progress in slowing down the process of, destruction of the environment through Galamsey events. And I just want you to go to the field and check. I expect anybody who really wants to accurately report on the level of progress to go to a site and take an aerial view and tell me which part of that site was dug in the last 8 years and which part of that site was dug in the last 7 months or 9 months. Are you getting the point? Because when you are driving and you see destruction, you might think it happened yesterday. Yeah, you might think it happened yesterday. But it is digging that has taken place for maybe 10 years. Digging that has taken place over 10 years. I'm being very honest. You know me, I speak freely. And nobody can stop me from speaking my mind. Nobody. So that is a more honest and accurate mechanism for really assessing progress that has been made beyond the passion that I see. We're passionate about it, but are those the real facts on the ground? Have you really gone there to check? When he talks about corruption in the enforcement, very true. Very, very true. You send soldiers, the soldiers say, hallelujah, my bread has been buttered. I used to be environment minister. I'll go to a Galamsey site, and then I'll ask, but how did these excavators get here? Because on my way here, I passed 5 barriers. So if I passed 5 barriers, how did this excavator, because it didn't pass through the bush to get to this place, it also passed on the same road. So we need to discipline our security agencies. No DCE can accurately say he doesn't know where Galamsey activities are taking place in his district. Then you are not supposed to be occupying that post as a DCE. Because everybody's jurisdiction, they know. If Galamsey is happening in Boku, I can tell you where it is happening and how. And I can actually tell you which are the boys who are there doing it. So no member of parliament sitting in this house can claim not to know what is happening in his constituency. Same as no DC can claim not to know what is happening in his constituency, district. Same as no regional or municipal security committee or council can claim not to know what is happening in their area. And no one can claim that we cannot stop Galamsey. How can we not stop Galamsey? If we can't stop it, then we are a failed state. Because this is something that is happening in broad daylight at a given location. You can't be carrying the thing around and doing it. So when we are chasing you, then you carry it to this place. No, it's the same location. So if we are paying a police service, we are paying an armed force from tax money, they can't claim that they cannot stop this. But I can assure you that so much progress has been made. Now, when it comes to the artisanal activity of young people digging and etc., that is why we introduced the community mining initiative, because we can't stop them altogether. We need to move them to locations and manage them at those locations, because it's an economic activity. What are Ghanaians really worried about? First, the destruction to the environment. 2, the chemical pollution. That's the real issue. And for me, that again is what is being addressed by recruiting so many EPA officers. And I know the EPA department has recruited thousands of people to now deploy them to all those sites so that they can show the small-scale community miners exactly how to use the chemicals to avoid the pollution. Because the large-scale miners are also using the same chemicals. Mind you, they're also using the same chemicals. So but they are supervised by EPA. They have permits. They come to the site. They see how you have planned the mine. They see exactly where you are going to use chemicals, and then where you are going to dump the waste, and how you are going to treat the waste, and then water that you have used, how you are going to purify the water before you discharge the water into the environment. For the large-scale mines, the EPA is focusing and making sure that all these are done. So they need to also be present when the artisanal and small-scale miners are also doing that. Now, there are structural issues that we must address. And I, yesterday, gave hints. 1, all the artisanal and small-scale miners that you have seen out there, they all want to operate legally. Every single one of them wants to operate legally. And I'm saying this because as a former Minister for Environment, I have visited many sites. And each time I engage the actors, they say, Minister, we want to operate legally. We want a license. Nobody who has money to buy an excavator. As I'm sitting here, I'm struggling to get equipment to do roads in my constituency. It is so expensive, you can't even afford it. Nobody who has money to buy an excavator and a dozer will claim that they don't have money to pay a license for a small-scale license so that they can operate there legally. Because he's invested in excavator, a dozer, Shamfang, and he doesn't want it to be seized. Do you get it? But the challenge that they face is that they cannot get the licenses. Why can't they get the licenses? You now move to minerals commissions. You find out that each time they submit an application, they are met with a response that somebody has already applied for a prospecting license for that area, so it is in the name of somebody's company. Meanwhile, that person is not there. He is not prospecting, he is not investing in mining, and so there's no job opportunity for the young people. So the first thing that we have to do, which I have promised to do, and which I actually hinted yesterday in my speech, is that we are going to call on the Minerals Commission to bring all the records of prospecting licenses. Let's see. Because each prospecting license depends on the size. Some of them are very small, but most of them are large, and they cover like 150 square kilometers, 77 square kilometers, 100 square kilometers. And people have plotted all these areas across the country in names that you cannot really establish who the names are. And then when these young people go to them, so give us a small space for us to do community mining, they say, oh, the place is clocked. Somebody has registered it as prospecting license. Some people have gone as far as plotting those places that they are very convinced have gold, and they have actually gone ahead to pay and obtain mining leases, and are keeping it for years. And every year they just go there, and then they pay the renewal, but they will not go there and invest in the mining. When the young people go and say, give us a small-scale license so that let's do it properly here, they are told that, oh, the mining lease, it belongs to somebody, so you can't get it. He looks around, he doesn't see anybody. He will start digging. He will start digging. The chief will say, go ahead and dig. I'm here. Anybody who says that he owns it, let him come and ask me, whatever question he has to ask. So people are accusing the chiefs. No, but the chiefs are sitting there. You have plotted the place. You have given it out to some ghost name. His children are sitting there unemployed. Your investor has not come to do large-scale mining so that he can get jobs for them and then livelihood opportunities for them. And then you are telling him that he should stop the children from digging. How is he going to stop them from digging? How else do you want them to live? So we must hold the Minerals Commission accountable. And then we must hold the EPA also accountable. EPA, and I used to head Ministry of Environment, and I know that if you don't present a license, even if they are sitting there, you are digging in front of them, they will say they have no right to interfere because you don't have a license. Even if they can come and guide you and say, look, you don't handle the mercury this way, you don't do it this way, you don't grind it this other way, that person would think they are being complicit in an illegality by going there to guide an illegal operator how he should carry out the activity in an environmentally, proper manner. So we need to address that issue as well, in addition to all the other efforts that government will put in place. I wish Minority Leader were here. He just said that he swears and he's ready to support, government to fight against Galamsey. At the beginning of the life of this parliament, if you all remember, we started first with a conference at Kempinski of MPs on how we can build a coalition of MPs to address the problem of small-scale mining. I don't know who remembers. At Kempinski. No, at Kempinski. It was widely covered. I mean, people remember where the Minister for Mines came and addressed us, where MPs were there. It happened. I organized it, so I know it happened. We invited the minority. He didn't come. He didn't. Not one single MP showed up. They treated it as an NDC MP's event. And from the beginning, the thing collapsed because there was no consensus to work together. You remember? I remember. Today, all over the place, I swear I'm ready to support. Let's stop the politics. Let's stop the politics. How ready are you to support? When we, from the beginning, we said, let's work together, because I take a position that every illegal mining activity is taking place in the constituency of a particular member of parliament. And so let's start with that member of parliament. He can help us address the problem, because it's a space that he has control over. And that was why yesterday I said that we will build a coalition of MPs committed to fighting corruption, so that we can help the Minerals Commission, the other state agencies, to see how we can get small-scale mining done properly. I have one belief. I have done some small history, and I know that history has taught us that wherever there is gold, people will go and try and dig it. Whether it is in America, or in Japan, or in China, or in Africa, wherever there is gold, people will try and dig it. All that is needed is for a strong state that regulates the exercise properly and make sure that, yes, go and dig it, but come to me for a license. When I give you the license, dig it properly, comply with all the protocols to maintain environmental standards. When you finish, reclaim the land, plant the trees, and then make sure that the trees have grown to cover the exposure that you have done of the Earth's surface. Period. That's the standard thing in the whole world. You can't stop it. It's a strong driver. People are really motivated. It's something that makes people rich overnight. So they will take all the risk. So it's just a strong state insisting and regulating it properly. And this parliament can help to ensure that that happens. And I assure you that in this meeting, you will see the effort that we will put into helping the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, first, to establish and verify what government is really doing. So we'll send teams out there to go and verify and establish, and come and we'll present it and debate it on the floor. People will see that really there's been progress. And then the challenges they are facing in actually stopping it, we will work with them and use the goodwill of the MPs and their social capital within their constituencies to engage the youth and stop it. So I thank you very much for raising that issue. You raised the issue of, there was a question about anti-LGBT legislation. What was the question again? I wrote anti-LGBT, but...
So I was making a follow-up to what you said, that it was passed.
Yeah.
So you don't see why it should be brought back to be considered. And I'm asking that we know that when a bill is passed and it is not assented to, it dies with the life of a certain parliament. In this case, the last parliament passed it, it wasn't passed. This is the 9th parliament. We've even seen more proponents thereafter. How do you explain what you meant by you don't see why it is brought back because it was passed? What do you mean by it was passed, so it should be considered? And again, leader, you supervise the business committee, so how did it feature on the order paper if you claim you were not aware?
Yeah, I did. I was at business committee. You were at business committee. Was it discussed? No, it wasn't discussed. Apparently, it's our first business committee meeting. And we even met before Parliament commenced sitting. We met the day before. And then the other people was prepared the following morning. And there was no business before us to be scheduled, to tell you the truth. So that one, I can be honest and open with you. It wasn't discussed. My witnesses are here. You were at business committee meeting? No. He was not there. Okay, but it wasn't discussed. Now, the Constitution says that if a bill is not passed, and then the life of the parliament expires, then it lapses. But this one was passed. Are you getting the situation? Is that okay? We have passed it. It's left with the assent. And if you remember, there was a big constitutional issue about what happened if the timelines for assent have passed, and then the president's timeline for sending it back to Parliament. He also doesn't comply with those timelines. And then there was an issue about the fact that there was a pending
So you heard the minority or majority leader completing it earlier. The majority leader and member of parliament for Futu, Apenyo Mark and Alexander, also took the floor to speak on national issues, particularly on Galamsey, and said that the minority stands ready to collaborate with parliament and the executive to address issues around illegal mining. Thank you so much for doing the watching. Now, my programming continues.